Look at what we like to call muck. What we like to call muck. All this darn disgusting crap and crap. Is that Animal Crossing? Bro, is that Tom Nook? Tom Nook in this? Where is Isabelle at?
But there's a lot of things to see up and down both sides of the river as we head through the river, so don't worry, we got a lot more architecture coming. And if you have any other questions about anything we talked about, I'll be around to clear those up in just a moment.
Seagulls! Oh! Ah, seagulls! Oh, look at them. Oh. Nice Ferris wheel though, ain't gonna lie.
Way we are today. We're not using it for beautiful architecture boat tours. We are pumping our sewage in.
Someone's getting sent to jail.
So much so that when the city catches fire in 1871, so does the river. Let that sink in. You know how disgusting your water's got to be to catch fire? That's also getting pumped onto Lake Michigan, which was, and still is, our clean drinking supply. In the late 1800s, 1 in 10 people are dying of our water. Cholera, dysentery, typhoid, all the Old West diseases. In fact, I just learned this one last year. It still blows my mind. If you were a loving Chicago parent in the late 1800s, you would give your kids beer. It was cleaner to drink than the water that came out of our taps. May get your kids drunk, but at least it wouldn't kill them.
Oh.
That is clearly not a sustainable solution, that problem. So in the year 1892, we finally began to fix the real problem. We dug a series of canals and locks that expanded the Chicago River and connected us to the Des Plaines, just like Marquette and Joliet recommended 200 years before we did it. When we finally connected our bodies of water to those to the south, gravity took over. It grabbed Lake Michigan and pulled it to the south through the Chicago River. With the help of a few locks and levees, it reversed the flow of the main branch on the way. That means you can now take a boat from the lake to the Gulf. So to help people get used to it, George Ferris, who came up with it, another great idea, he adds a bartender to every car. Entice people in with free drinks, loosen them up as they spin. Only that fantastic reviews and turn into the attraction it is today. Other first in that World's Fair was the first can of Pabst Blue Ribbon. It was just Pabst beer before the World's Fair. Won us blue ribbon there. Although that ribbon was participation, which I think checks out if you have PBR. Also, the first can of spray paint, the first Cracker Jack, the first zipper, the first public display of the incandescent light bulb, that's a big one, and America's first serial killer. So, bit of a mixed bag, but undeniably influential in a lot of ways. All right here in Chicago, 1893. We'll talk more about that World's Fair once we're out on the lake.
You can see the city
but in the meantime,
from here.
We're currently heading into the lock system.
And
we get
a
a lot
bird.
of questions as to why these locks exist in the first place. So, I want to quickly break down why these locks are here. And to do that, we got to go a little bit further back into Chicago's past, all the way to the beginning of our city. As far as we know, Chicago has always been home to a plethora of Native American tribes including, but not limited to,
Oh, that's
the
a seagull.
Miami,
Never mind. I
Illinois,
hate seagulls.
and the Council of Three Flames. This was a formal alliance between the Potawatomi, Ottawa, and Ojibwe tribes. Once again, even the name Chicago comes from a Potawatomi word. So this is a very important part of our past history and culture. The first white people showed up in the 1670s. Two French explorers, Marquette and Joliet. They were tasked by the French king to find a connection from the Great Lakes system to the Pacific Ocean. If you know your geography, that doesn't exist. What they found instead was a connection from the Great Lakes to the Gulf of Mexico through the Chicago River. Except, not really again, because the river back then looked very different than it does now. For starters, the Chicago River was originally 2 feet deep and 4 feet wide. It is now 15 to 20 feet deep and 100 feet wide.
I hope I
It
don't
used to
get
flow into
copyrighted
Lake
for this.
Michigan, the way we just took it.
I don't want
Now
to get
flows out.
copyrighted for this crap.
We'll talk about that in just a second. But recently, there's been a lot of efforts to repair it. Friends of the Chicago Harbor Lighthouse, that's called. A lot of our captains are a part of that effort. In the next year, hopefully, you'll be able to hop on a boat, head out to the lighthouse, see the inside, get some beautiful skyline photos. I recommend checking into that if you're interested in seeing the inside of that lighthouse, supposedly as early as next year, or if you're just interested in our preservation efforts in general. It's a good thing to keep tabs on. If you look directly to the right, you can see the St. Regis and look directly through those blow-through floors we were talking about earlier. There is a middle section, that's the elevators to get up to the top section. And at the top, there's actually a second method of sway reduction, which I think is the most insane one. It is called inertial slosh dampeners. Looking good. You want to get the tour? No. Now, the St. Regis here, at the top, it has 4 concrete tanks filled with a collective 400,000 gallons of water. When this building is hit with a gust of wind, the water in those tanks will naturally hit the
Hey, yo!